What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the SlipCast. I'm your host, Anthony, aka Slip. Um, just got done doing some stupid shit like going to the store and picking up some soda. A huge sale. I found Dr. Pepper cream soda. I'd heard about it, but I didn't get a chance to try it until today. And honestly, it's pretty fucking garbage. It's like there's no cream soda flavor and it just tastes like weakened Dr. Pepper. But today, I'm joined by one of my best friends, um, Dylan. Dylan, go
Hello
ahead and
there.
say hi. Yeah, there you go.
Hi.
Welcome, man.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
I'm doing fine. Just rising and grinding, all you can do in this quarantine madness, just trying to keep myself busy, just doing stuff around the house. I did a bunch of laundry this morning, so that's always a lovely, ongoing war is me and laundry and everyone in laundry. Because you just once you win one battle, there's another one the next day and the next day and the next day because you have to wear clothes. So
True that. And then you just, if you don't do your laundry, it just stockpiles that you have to do two ginormous loads, or you got to do like four medium loads, or
and then
six small loads.
the
Yeah, oh,
folding is awful.
yeah. I hate doing
My
laundry.
least favorite part.
I can do it. Thankfully, I can do it.
Yeah.
But anyways, so what do you do? Like, who are you? What is your deal? Who is Dylan?
Well, formally, I'm a current college student right now. I'm I just finished my semester, well, really as of yesterday. I'm a exercise, sports science, and history major. I am big into exercise and nutrition and food. That's more of my big thing is I I lost a good amount of weight.
Right, you
Well,
lost
for
almost 100
perspective,
pounds.
yeah, I went from 280 to around 180 in the span of about a year. And
Congrats, man.
so,
That's hard work.
yeah, thank you. So it was kind of a a light bulb moment for me as far as getting into fitness and helping other people do the same thing because for me there's a lot of gray areas in the fitness industry. There's a lot of things that people are told to do this and do that. They
Right,
say, this is really helpful and it's going to make you lose X amount in this amount of time when really it's kind of it doesn't do anything for you.
right,
And the reality is that the the real hard truth is just kind of buried under a bunch of misinformation.
right.
So what I'm trying to do is kind of cut through the crap essentially and get to what people really need to know, which is what I was desperately seeking during most of my life. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of what I'm doing. I don't need to be super dour, but that's kind of that's the more formal stuff. As far as the fun stuff, I am a gigantic Star Wars, SpiderMan, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, everything nerd generally. Um, I kind of the things that I really like, I sort of obsess over.
Right.
Like I really get into it. Um, so I recently finished up the last season of Clone Wars, and so like that. And then also as another side interest, I'm huge into food and cooking. I could watch cooking videos all day, like Bon Appetit kind of stuff, where they like try out recipes and do things. I actually recently have been watching burger history videos. As odd as that sounds, like you just learn about like the origins of how hamburgers actually came to the United States, and that it was formerly a German thing,
Right.
and that it was like it started from this thing called a Hamburg steak. They served it on a plate, had some vegetables or whatnot. Then at state fairs, when it transferred over to the United States, they were making things portable like hot dogs. So then they just put hamburger meat cooked in bread, and so then it just started being this thing. And so to most people, I think it's pretty like who cares, and it sounds pretty boring. But to me, it's just kind of fascinating
Right, and you love
how things kind of
hamburgers.
come to be. Oh yeah,
So, I
food
mean,
is like I could talk about it forever. Like I feel like I bore people to death about it, but honestly, like it's just there's so much like variation in food that you could honestly just learn. Like you could get like lost in it really.
Yeah,
Like even
absolutely.
just talking about like variations of hamburgers or like the kinds of cheese that you like, like it just there's which by the way, there's a million kinds of cheeses. I'm never gonna try them all, but some
Yeah,
of
I
them
mean,
look pretty disgusting,
that's a
to be
reason
honest.
why people become chefs is because they love food so much. They just enjoy not only learning about how to make specific types of food, but actually enjoying the food themselves. I mean, if you don't have
Yeah.
that passion, you can't do what you do.
Oh no.
So it's a good thing that going into exercise, it deals a lot with food. So
Oh yeah.
they tie hand in hand, especially if you're doing a diet. You do specific diet. You do go to the gym. You do whatever you can to help yourself either keep your weight, lose weight, or even gain weight, depending on what you do.
Right.
And so finding out those different kinds of food options helps you maintain that balance between them that you can actually enjoy what you do. Oh, excuse
For
me, and
sure.
not
Like
see it as a specific task.
yeah, exactly. I think that a lot of times when people look at being healthy, that's a really abstract concept for a lot of people. I think that it's not something that's very um, easily understood by most people, and they just kind of associate it with blending a bunch of fruit with kale and
Mm-hmm.
drinking it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's just kind of like something that people just think that they understand,
Right.
but realistically, being healthy is more of a balance than anything of like a straight hardcore diet, which people don't. The being healthy is much more of a mental thing than it is a physical and an eating thing, because in order for you to maintain those things, you have to be, taking care of yourself.
Right.
Like if you're
Mentally
not
too.
doing that, you can't do that because
Exactly.
it's impossible. So if you want to, eat healthy and eat clean, that's cool. But if you also want to have a cheeseburger and such, like, a month down the line in your diet, like, and I hate to say diet because diet is a temporary thing. It's more of like a lifestyle, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just terminology. It's easy for people to understand. Have the cheeseburger. Like, just don't think twice about it, and then you get back to what you're doing, because ultimately, eating like that doesn't make you feel great, especially when you do it like
Consistently.
intermittently.
Yeah.
Yeah, or consistently. Like if you eat like super clean for a while, and then you have like I don't know. There's Portillo's like 5 minutes down the street.
Right.
If you have like a big beef with a large cheese fry or whatever, it's just gonna completely upset your stomach. But if you do it more like consistently, but you do it not like every day,
Right.
your body's gonna be more used to it, and
Exactly.
it's not as big of a deal. So like just don't people just freak out way too much about like quote cheating on diets, and
Yeah. I
really
mean,
it's just a way to maintain mental sanity. Go ahead.
myself personally, I don't have a specific diet right now. I just eat whatever I
Right.
set my eyes on, and I just eat it.
Hmm.
Obviously that's a terrible habit to have.
Well, I'd say that in this quarantine, like a lot of rules are being thrown out the window because of what kind of we're being thrown into. Like
Yeah,
our food supply is kind of getting thrown off too,
it's
really.
it's difficult to maintain a steady habit of doing something that takes more energy to do rather than just throw whatever the hell you see in your mouth. And
Oh yeah.
it becomes very easy for people to get off whatever exercise routines or whatever substantial things that they do typically in their day. It's all thrown off of balance because they can't go out and do whatever the hell they were doing before. You can't go to a gym. You can't go
No.
into the park and do yoga around a bunch of people. You can't, like, so whoever does whatever they're doing right now, who are trying to stick to the routine, and I know you're sticking to a routine by exercising frequently. It takes a lot of effort, and that takes a lot of willpower, and that's something that right now in my mental state I definitely couldn't do. But I feel like if I was 100 pounds lighter than I am right now, that'd be something that I'd be thoroughly enjoying. is getting that
I
extra rush.
I can tell you that the difference for anybody who has never lost weight before, um, yes, you like look different. That's a big thing. But it to me, it was more of the small things
Right.
of like the way that people talk to you, like they notice you, the way that you kind of feel in your clothes. You feel a lot lighter in your body.
Right.
The way that you can actually run and not have it hurt and be something that's like completely impossible.
Right.
It's just the your ability to do certain habits completely opens up. Your world is pretty much like the world is yours, as to quote Nas, but like it's uh it's something that like I don't think that a lot of people, you know, maybe get to experience. I think maybe in small bursts of like 20 pounds or something, of like, but for people who like go through drastic weight loss. Now, I haven't lost like, there's people who've lost like 250 pounds, 300 pounds, and that's like a life saving thing,
Right.
and
But
they're
that's because
going
they
from
were
this,
450 pounds
yeah,
plus.
they're
You
like
were just
way,
280 pounds, and
I could have been 300 easy, like given another, a few months or a year
I
if
would have
I
given
would
it.
have
I could
just
have
kept
given it
going.
2 months. I would have given it 2 months. If I really wanted to, I definitely could hit 300.
Yeah.
I could definitely hit 300. It's
Well, gaining weight's easy,
Oh yeah,
you know.
very easy. I've noticed like after we went and started doing the gym thing, and after the whole gym ordeal, I lost 30 plus pounds, and I was feeling good about
Which is
myself.
great,
I
you
was
know.
feeling really good, and we're gonna definitely do that again and stick to it.
Yeah, of
But
course.
now that I'm in a position where it's a lot more difficult to maintain that, I saw myself gaining 20 pounds back, and that 20 pounds just came like it so quickly after I let
Yeah,
my because I was eating a specific amount of calories in a day, and that's how I was doing my routine. Would eat a specific
yeah,
amount of calories a day, and I'd go to the gym 5 times a week.
yeah,
I saw myself after not going to the gym. I kept up with how I was maintaining that diet, and it ended up just kind of falling off the planet because I started eating way less healthy. I would go to the McDonald's, like, because McDonald's is so fucking easy, and going to Burger King or
yeah.
Taco Bell or whatever the fuck, any fast food restaurant, even
Because it's
Portillo's.
everywhere.
Right, it's right in your
It's
face.
easily accessible.
And instead
That's
of
the problem.
cooking a
Yeah.
chicken breast and making a chickpea pasta and trying to make the ingredients at a specific measurement, which is a pain in the ass sometimes,
Oh yeah.
it's such a pain in the ass that I was just like, you know what, dude, I can go to Franco's right down on Chicago Avenue and just go and fucking eat nice big beefs and get my own pasta there, or chicken parmesan, or get an Italian sausage with a beef mix, and it was just so
Mhm.
easy to do that. And it was so good that I just kept doing it and got back to where I am now.
Yeah. Well,
Luckily,
I'll just say that like I have gained weight during this quarantine. Like I'm roughly more around like the 200-ish. Like I was like 208 at my most recently.
still that's not bad.
So yeah, like I started to go back down. I've been working on it and working out, and like, yeah, I have a trainer and that makes it easier. He does like, I do online workouts, but it's like, I think it's just the fact that you can't even go to the gym. It just to be clear, uh, Governor Pritzker just recently announced that in phase 3 of Illinois' like reopen initiative, they're going to start opening gyms again. So it's not that far off for us to be going to the gym again, but there's going to be precautions.
Right,
So
and a lot of it has to deal with how we're doing as a state. I mean, if no one's like, if people are continuously getting sick, we're not
yeah,
getting anywhere in our phases. We're just gonna stay there.
yeah,
And I feel like right now, the way that everything's going, there's no way we're gonna get rid of this. I mean, even myself. Okay, I told you this yesterday. My girlfriend's mom she believes she has COVID-19. I need to go get tested because obviously I've been around my girlfriend. I was just with her yesterday. I'm gonna see her today because no fucking self control whatsoever. And
Yeah.
it, I'm gonna get it. I know, and eventually I'm going to get it. I work still. I mean, I'm not at work right now because I told them, I'm under precaution right now. I need to take 2 weeks to quarantine myself. But I need to take that extra precaution. And even if I do, I still have to go back to work after the 2 weeks. And there's
Yeah.
still a chance I get it there. Because there have been people who've gotten it there. And although I don't work with them, although I never actually got contact with them, so luckily I didn't get it up to this point. There's also the chance that I get it from, some person that I end up working with, or a customer, or any of our guests. It's very difficult to keep yourself away from people when you have to work. I mean, you're lucky you don't have to work. You can stay at home and drive around in your car with no one in it, but I have to go out and do shit. Now I'm getting myself stuck in a position where I'm watching as my own world is at a cease right now because of the people around me, of their
Yeah.
actions.
Right.
I've taken my precautions, but they didn't take theirs, and now I have to deal with the consequences of that. Which it's fair because I made that decision.
Yeah. Well, I think that like as of recently having finished the semester, I'm most likely going to start working again. Now, do I know where? Um, Not really. I mean, yes, I'm employed, but I could go somewhere else honestly for better pay. So it's just I'm not sure, but I think for me, working is a means of helping me stay sane because to get out of the house, like that work functions the same for me as like driving around. Like I
Right.
just have to get out because you're just trapped inside. And like the like yesterday, I was talking about how, you know, just for perspective, my car had been, sitting around for so long, it just it was rusted to the point where it wasn't moving. You
Right,
know?
and you have a new car, 2015.
Yeah,
You said
yeah.
was it the driver's side rear wheel
Yes, it
was
was the driver's side rear wheel was almost it was pretty much rusted in place.
to the
Now,
rotor, the brake pad.
correct. Yeah, it just wasn't going. And so I I was like thinking, oh crap. All right, so every other wheel is fine. I was planning on, taking the wheel off and then, I don't have a rubber mallet. Now, just like for like just some context, I did autos in high school. Like I worked on cars in the shop and like I learned how to do oil changes
Right.
painfully because one time when I was loosening a bolt, I decided to just for FYI for anyone who is planning on trying to work on a car, never pull on a ratchet towards you because once the bolt loosens, it's gonna smack you right in the face. And I did that once, and it smacked me right in the nose when I was loosening a drain bolt. So never do that. So what I was planning on doing was taking the wheel off and then taking a rubber mallet and then just banging on the rotor and dusting it off. Now, if I had a full auto shop, I would I'd take the caliper off, I'd take the pads off, I'd take the rotor off, and then I'd get it on like one of those giant spinning things with bristles and brush the whole thing off.
Right.
Just get it all nice and clean and then, do everything. But I don't have that. So I
Your
just
car
kind of
doesn't
have
send the
to,
garage either, and it's been raining a lot around here,
yeah.
so we've been having a lot of
So,
trouble with the rusting of the calipers.
yeah, it kind of it gets pretty bad. And realistically, the the rusting on the actual rotor when I was driving it, when I was braking, I noticed that when I was looking at all the rotors, because I went to fill up my tires right after, because when you like PSA for anyone, fill up your tires pretty frequently.
Hmm.
You just got to keep them in check. especially in Illinois with the seasons changing, the weather is affecting the PSI in your tires, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's going to go down or up, and you want to keep it regulation.
Right.
Whether it's overinflated or under, it's not good for your tires.
It's also not
So,
good for the car. I mean,
no.
you'll lose gas mileage, and you'll also lose traction, and the wear on your tires is going to be a lot different than each side if your wheels aren't all up to formulation with what the car requires.
Probably be accelerated as far as the wear.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, so like the one of the main things that we would always do when we would bring cars in the shop at school is we would, make sure we do like we track we track the tread wear. So you like the tread depth. We see, how much wear is on it. We check the PSI for the tires, just, check on the brake pads, the rotors, everything, like basic stuff. And so that's kind of what I've been looking to do in this quarantine is just to kind of like keep an eye out. And the funny thing is I was looking at my rotors and the wear was like some of the like on my driver rear rotor, the patch that was being cleared by the pad was only in the middle of the rotor, and sides towards the center and towards the rim of it were completely untouched.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that I something's up with the pads, because when I looked at the driver front, the complete rotor was being cleaned off. So
Right.
that
So you
pad's
think that the
fine.
pads are off centered?
I think that something's wrong with the pads like that because the wear is not even,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, kind of, and especially, in this whole thing with that was the wheel that was having the problems.
Right.
So that was the wheel that wouldn't move, and I was worried something's gonna snap, because I was trying to go back and forth,
Right. You'll break
and
your
it was
axle.
just, yeah, I
The
was
wheel
afraid
bearing
that
would get out of
twisting
place,
was
and
gonna snap it.
yeah.
So, I mean, luckily for me, I have that kind of stuff to do it. Like I bought enough stuff to actually be able to work on my car in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do my own oil changes and whatnot. I have the equipment because I want to make sure that I have enough stuff to where, if I can't go to a mechanic shop or I want to do it for myself for cheaper or something, then I can do that. Realistically, is it always cheaper? No, it's not, especially if you use higher quality oil.
Yeah.
That's the difference, is you can do it yourself, but it's going to cost the same, but maybe they're going to be using conventional. And if your car takes synthetic, then you can do it yourself and have like roughly equal prices, but then minus labor because it's just you.
Right. And with
But you
synthetic
have to
oil,
know what you're talking about.
exactly. You have to know your grade of oil and everything like that, especially with like oil or antifreeze. Antifreeze is a big thing. You need to know exactly what kind of antifreeze your car takes, because if you put the wrong antifreeze in there, for one, the car can seize up in the winter. I've seen it happen before. People put in the wrong kind of coolant, and it freezes because it's got water in it. And antifreeze shouldn't freeze if it's used correctly, but you're not using the
Yeah.
correct kind in your engine, and it'll seize up. The same thing with oil. It'll create
Yeah.
more wear. Abby's car. I think Abby's car is Abby's my girlfriend. And Abby's car might be burning oil. It's got
Mm.
210,000 miles on the damn thing. I think that I think there's a problem with the piston rings because they haven't been switched out since they bought the car. So
Yeah,
I
and
think
that
that
could
they're going
be
out.
leaking oil
Yeah,
and then into the compression area and then, burning it.
yeah,
So,
exactly. And so that seems to be a problem. So she ran out of oil on her way to Wisconsin this past week.
mm,
Was just completely out of it, and apparently was low on coolant too, because she apparently overheated. But I think that's just because she was out of oil,
right.
which can cause excess heat because there's more friction. To people who don't understand that, there's more friction when there's not oil in the engine. So there's metal rubbing on metal, which can create more heat, which can create excess heat that shouldn't be there, which the whatever your cooling system might be, usually it's a radiator,
Right.
can't
Yeah.
cool it down. It can't cool down the engine fast enough, and so you'll end up overheating.
Right.
But let's shy away from that topic a little bit, and let's get
Yeah,
to
I think
more
we
of
can move on to other stuff.
yeah, like what. So I know you like video games, and I know you're a big music
I
guy.
am a resident video game nerd, yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
So like what? Explain like what kind of video games you play on a regular basis, and what do you like to do in your free time other than just playing video games? Or I know you like listening to music.
Yeah. I mean, we can that's a whole nother thing. I'll start into video games first. So for the longest time, I was a hardcore dedicated NBA 2K player. This was most of my life I was playing NBA 2K. And I've always been into basketball, big basketball person. I've recently gotten into college basketball simply because NBA has gotten less interesting for me
Yeah.
over time. And so I started watching, college basketball. That became really interesting. So it only seemed right for me at the time when I was, in junior high, and so to get into NBA 2K because I love video games and it just made sense. So I played that for a while, and then the microtransactions started to add up, and I just kind of started to lose interest.
Right.
And because it's this repetitive formula, I just got bored. So I started to do other games. I think I'm a PlayStation gamer formerly. I also play Switch, but my main thing is PlayStation, and one of the first games that I ever downloaded was The Last of Us.
Hmm.
That was I look in my library, and that's one of the first like 5 titles that I ever downloaded. I think it's the first one.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember. I remember those days.
and so that game brought me into the fold of PlayStation as a gaming company. It brought me into Naughty Dog, who I've fallen in love with as far as their games. I'm a big Uncharted person. I
Yeah.
really love those games. I think four is my favorite one. I like all four of them, but um,
One was weird. Oh,
yeah,
Uncharted one was weird.
one. Here's the thing. One, I think that because of the other games, I think we kind of like forget about one. And I think one is more of like this. I heard it explained by somebody else. It kind of feels like you're just in this like shootout arena and you just keep going from one to the next. And there's a little bit of climbing involved, but it's not really like this seamless gameplay experience. Now, granted, it didn't, it was a very new IP at the time,
Yeah, it was like
and there
2000,
wasn't.
2008 or something.
I think it was seven. I
Maybe.
don't know.
I
Uh,
remember
very long
when
time
it
ago.
first came out. Yeah, it was like one of the launch titles for PlayStation 3.
Yeah. So I if you don't know, the main actor within the Uncharted games is Nolan North, and he does a YouTube channel along with Troy Baker, who is Joel in The Last of Us,
Mhm.
called Retro Replay. So they talked about a story about how Troy got into Uncharted, and he ended up being in the franchise by playing Sam
Right,
in
number
Uncharted
4.
4.
Right.
Correct. So he was talking about how he was doing a terrible movie in Texas, and he he was in his hotel room and he was playing. I believe it was. I forgot exactly. It was not Uncharted at first. He didn't play Uncharted. He was like, he heard about this Uncharted game and he did the one thing that he knew how to do was he picked, some other game. And then he eventually picked up Uncharted because a friend was strongly recommending it to him and he fell in love with it. And then he was working on another game when Nolan was working on Uncharted 2. And then he was like, he stepped into the voice booth and said hi and like kind of nerded out a little bit. And then eventually he got called by Neil Druckmann, who's the creative director.
For Naughty
Um,
Dog, right?
yes, for Naughty Dog. And so he basically said, do you want to, do this part? And so then he was just freaking out. And so he got asked in. So that was a long story about how like I've started to really love Naughty Dog, and PlayStation for me is king. It's not because of like I originally was Xbox. That was my thing. I became more PlayStation because of just I'm a huge story-based game
Right.
person. I love movies, so story-based games are like its natural counterpart.
Right.
It's being able to play a movie. It's
It's
very
storytelling.
right. And it for me, I get really I'll just say angry
Yeah.
when directors will say about like video games that they're not real storytelling, they're never going to be the same thing, that it can never compete. Specifically, like Roger Ebert, rest in peace. He was an amazing movie critic, but that's just kind of somewhere where you're wrong a little bit to me
I
because
mean,
you,
yeah, absolutely. There's one game in particular, GTA 5. Now, people bought GTA 5 not just for the story, they bought it for multiplayer, but
right?
dude, you can't compare to those sales. That game
Oh
has been
no,
out since 2013 and it's still kicking
which is
any movie's
insane.
ass when it comes to sales. It sold
Oh
what,
yeah,
a billion dollars in the first like weekend?
something like that,
Something
something
like that.
crazy. It's like
It's
the
so
highest selling
ridiculous.
game of all time, I
It
think,
is. It
probably.
is the highest selling game. It's not the highest selling franchise. I think that's Mario Brothers, but that's, years of Mario
They've had
Brothers.
like a million titles to,
Yeah.
rack that up. So,
So the fact that this one game put this one franchise at like the pinnacle of game titles, and these sale representatives are just, I'm baffled. I'm absolutely baffled this game did what it did. But it proves
yeah,
that you can't go you can't look at games and movies and think that they're the same. They can be very similar. But you're not going to
right.
get a 7-hour movie that you are
Oh
a part of.
no.
You're not going to be part of that movie. You just watch it. There you go. There's who's an actor. Nicolas Cage is in this movie, and he plays in this movie for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and you put it out there and it makes this much money, right? But
Right.
then you take these three nobodies, right? Sean Fontino, what's
Ned Luke, I
Ned
think
Luke,
is
and
his name.
then the guy who plays Trevor, which is Steve
He was also on the Stephen Ogg, and
Stephen
then
Ogg.
he was on The Walking Dead too.
Right.
He's actually a really good actor
Yeah, I know that.
himself outside of it.
So these three, just out of nowhere, these nobodies, get put into this game title, and all of a sudden, it's one weekend, they sell 1 billion copies of the or $1 billion worth of these copies of this game,
Right.
and you just wonder, like, if I were to take three nobodies and put them in as a main character in a movie, the movie's not gonna fucking sell for shit.
No, because nobody's recognizable. But
Right.
gaming, it's voice. It's all about how you sell it.
Exactly.
That's the thing about voice acting is like it's less about recognizability than it is about performance.
Right. Exactly.
Because which is something that people say. I I I was doing. I had. I still have hip problems, sometimes, but recently it hasn't been. But I used to have hip problems. One of the people that I did physical therapy with said that voice acting isn't real acting. I was like, do
Oh.
you understand how like long they have to be in the booth to like flesh out certain emotions and you know grunts? Like
I
Tom
mean,
Hanks was talking about how he had to be in the booth for hours, just literally for Toy Story, just doing grunts for
yeah,
Woody.
and
It's so hard.
yeah, it takes a lot of time and effort to put into these games, not just with voice acting, but with actual animation properties and
Right.
making sure that every little detail falls in line and is continuity. And movies always fuck up with their continuity. I watched
Oh
what did I
man.
watch the other day? I watched Deep Cover. I remember in the
Mm,
scene of Deep Cover, um, it was played by Lawrence Fishburne was the main character. He was
mm,
playing this guy who was an undercover cop in the drug world, and in this one
mm-hmm.
scene, this guy just snitched on everybody, and he's gonna get his ass whooped. He's gonna get killed for it. So
Oh,
they're in this like bar, and there's this table set up, and the guy who snitched on them is a drug addict, and so he's like doing the regular crackhead shit. He pulls the cloth out the table,
right.
and then in the next scene, like in unison, Like 3 seconds later, the fucking table's back to normal, and now there's like a microphone. No, there's a camcorder on the table now. The camcorder was never there, and the table just got fucking remade.
Yeah.
Where's the continuity?
It's it's interesting. Like there. Oh yeah, I just was so, you know, I was rewatching the original Avengers movie the other day,
Mm-hmm.
which perfect to me in every way. It just excellent. So I was rewatching it, and in the scene where Nick Fury initially talks to Steve Rogers, he says to him, "I bet you $10 that you're wrong. That whatever is happening, it's going to surprise you." And Steve Rogers is like, "No way! Like, dude, I've already seen Red Skull and the Tesseract and everything. There's nothing that you can do to surprise me." Now, fast forward to like, I don't know, 20 minutes, half hour later or so, he's on the Shield aircraft carrier, and you see Steve Rogers handing Nick Fury $10, and you're like, where did that come from? And then you immediately realize, oh, that was from earlier.
Right.
It's just the consistent flow of the story and references to moments prior. It's so
The
like
continuity.
that's what exactly. That's what is so mind-blowing about the MCU is that the fact that they're able to do these 20 plus movies, and keep it all going
Right, without
relatively
retconning anything too.
without wrecking anything. Now, I remember when, just not that long ago, that the MCU was really at its peak when people were waiting for Infinity War and Endgame, and now it's kind of calmed down because of Black Widow and everything kind of going on. But it just there, that's like one of the grandest achievements in storytelling in cinema history. Whether people want to call superhero movies or not, it's just the fact that they're able to keep it going is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like making the connection of movies and video games is a very hard thing to do because games themselves, like we'll bring up The Last of Us. How many playable hours does it have? A lot.
Uh, yeah.
Like
I mean,
it's like
it's a pretty decent
four
sized
times more than
story.
a movie, and you're in it, and there's just customization options. You can change your clothes. That's not a big part of it, but the weapons, modifying them so that you can fire better, or you have more ammo that you can put in them, or that you can aim
You can
better.
add blades. You can add blades to your weapons. You
Yeah,
can like do like on the spot modifications. There's a you can take in medicine and pills to upgrade your ability to see
yeah, your
the
statistics.
undead around you,
Yep.
and it's quite an extensive experience. Like it's not you can go through multiple playthroughs and still find things that you can do that I hadn't found before. Like I was playing Fallen Order. They just added a DLC to the game where they added like New Game Plus basically,
Gotcha.
and so I was playing that, and I'm finding crates that I hadn't found in the first two playthroughs that I did,
Hmm.
or I found an ability that I had never unlocked before that made things easier. Like games, they're just constantly okay. I'll say that SpiderMan is one of those things that it was like I played through it and then I still go back to it, but I'm not gonna play the story over and over and over and over and over again because it kind of gets repetitive for me now. Like I've played it three, 4 times,
Hmm.
which is enough, I think, for now. Maybe I'll want to play more. I played Uncharted 4 6 times as of current.
Yeah.
Now, that's a lot, but I don't think it's like that much because to me, I treat it like one to one, like a movie, really.
Hmm.
Now, plus you add the you can play it elements. It just like the story is so good. People wonder, well, why do you rewatch movies over and over again? Because I'm kind of one of those people that I can just do things over and over.
Uh-huh.
And I really don't get that tired of it.
A
You're
good
like, how do you
example.
do that? I'm
A
like,
good
because
example
I enjoy
being,
it so much. Go
yeah,
ahead.
a good example is both of us with the Avatar series. Now, I got you into
Yeah,
Avatar about a year and a half ago, I'll say.
yeah. Because
You,
I bought the Blu-ray because I'm one of those people.
yeah,
You
he's
know.
a Blu-ray fanatic. Everybody, he won't get a movie unless it's Blu-ray.
I don't buy DVDs really. It's not my thing. Like if I had a 4K TV, that's what I'd be buying.
Damn straight.
Is 4K Blu-rays, but I don't have one. Now I am planning on over the summer working enough to where I can buy one.
Mm-hmm.
That's my next thing. Is there's a one of my friends from college has got a 4K TV that I was using pretty consistently because I was able to walk over to his room a lot, and it was less than $300. It's really nice quality, and it's pretty big. It's like a 55 inch,
Mm-hmm.
so like that's I think the physical media, is it's I think for me it's less of a big deal for games than it is for movies.
Mm-hmm.
Games I don't do physical media really because like in the old, back in the day I was letting people borrow games and some people never returned my copies.
Or that if they did, they were all scratched up.
Yeah, I just don't do that anymore. I just only do digital. That's it.
Yeah, but
So,
there's a purpose of having the movie in your hands, and
yeah,
it's also
movies is different.
right. It's not just having it; it's collecting them.
And
you
you
have
can
so
see
many
them.
of the movies from the MCU.
And I own the Dark Knight like technically four times.
Yeah,
It's like or well the Dark Knight trilogy,
right.
but it's because you count. I bought like the special edition Blu-ray that had like some artwork in it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got the Blu-rays themselves just individually with nothing else,
Mm-hmm.
and then I bought them digitally, and then I was gifted the DVDs from you
Mm-hmm.
for a birthday or for Christmas.
Right. No, I
So
mean that's one of the things is that owning those and owning like well, let's get back to the Avatar thing. Now you own
oh
them
yeah,
and you hadn't watched them for
yes,
the longest period of time, but we finally started getting more into it, and then you weren't able to come and hang out very often, and so I ended up finishing it without you. And
yeah,
that was my ninth time finishing the entire series. I've watched the entire
right,
Avatar series 9 times at this point, and you have yet to watch the full series. But while you were in the middle of watching and finishing that series, my girlfriend wanted to watch Avatar, so I ended up watching it a 10th time. And you finished just around the same time that we finished. And so
yeah.
we got in this conversation about the ending and everything like that. Now apparently you're going back at it again and you're watching it again.
Oh, I'm right now. Like last night, I just watched The Storm, the episode where
Yeah,
Zuko sort of like his entire crew learns about how he had to go into Agni Kai with his father,
right.
and then you learn about how Aang ran away from the air temple and
Mm-hmm.
then ended up in the frozen in the water with Appa.
Mm-hmm.
And so that episode, it just like it sets up the once you look at the ending and the rest of the series in context with these earlier episodes, it makes me just appreciate it that much more because I see what they're setting up.
Right. And then
Like,
sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. That's the thing about digital. It's like I talk a lot. Just like FYI, I talk a lot, and I have a hard time like with stopping myself and understanding where people are picking up. So I'm sorry if I'm cutting people off, and you're like
I do
people
that
are
too.
listening and hearing this.
Yeah, I've been
I
doing
like
it.
I love to talk. Like when people first meet me, like maybe I'm not the most talkative person because I don't really know you, but like once I know people and I just yammer on. So
You just go ham on
it's
it.
I just keep on going because when I'm passionate about something, I want to share with people,
Right.
you know? So go ahead.
Okay.
We were
So
talking about I was talking about the storm. This is in
right.
season 1. I think it's episode 12.
Right.
I
No,
believe I watched last
I
night.
was gonna say that there's a point when you were saying like once you've watched the entire series and you rewatch it, you gain more of an appreciation because of what they're setting up. And I was gonna say that when you watch the series the first time, there's little things that you won't notice that you've missed. And as you go through it again, you already know the premise of the story, so you have more time to look at the different things that you might have not noticed, like little references here and there, and in the script, or even little things in the background that you hadn't noticed. And it gives
Oh
you more
yeah.
of an appreciation. You're like, this is the amount of detail that they put into this show, and the artistic vision that they had for it is it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
I'm I'm currently on the Blue Spirit. Like I just started that
mm-hmm.
episode last night, and then I was kind of tired, so I fell asleep. Which, uh, Dante Basco, the actor
Mm-hmm.
for Zuko, he put out a face mask through a company called Mouth Maskers. So they did like the bottom portion of the Blue Spirit mask
Mm-hmm.
and made it into a mask that you could use, now in quarantine. So that I like as soon as I saw that I yes, it's $25. It's kind of expensive, for a mask. It's a little steep, but it's I'm not sure exactly. I think 100% of the profits are going to like some sort of charity, as far as I know. But that's like that's something that, again, once I fell in love with Avatar, like I just wanted to learn everything about it, like as much as I could know. I'm the same way with Star Wars, like, and I've been into Star Wars forever, and I'm still learning new stuff about it. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's a good way to end it right here. Is we're approaching 47 minutes, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop recording here, and then we're gonna continue to record right after this, and we'll just make it
for
two
sure.
parts because there's a lot that we can
Yeah.
talk about here. So I'm
Oh
just gonna
yeah.
cut it off right here,